welcome to another video. You've got Mr. Everything English, and in this video guys we will be addressing the hardest question in the English literature exam. Now that's not my opinion, that's proven based upon data. If you look at the exam results for the past 3 to 4 years, in English literature, the question that gets the lowest amount of marks every single year is the poetry question. Now let's go over the poetry question very basically. How many marks, how many minutes, how many paragraphs? Guys, the poetry question is a 30-mark question. Now I'm talking about seen poetry, not unseen poetry. It's a 30-mark question. And for a 30-mark question, you are looking to spend approximately 45 minutes. Now for this particular question, in 45 minutes, you are looking to write 3 paragraphs, which means we are spending 15 minutes per paragraph. That's a long time for one paragraph. Now, why do we spend so long on one paragraph? Because guys, this is a comparison essay. Therefore, in one paragraph, we are comparing both poems. So we compare poem A to poem B in the first paragraph. In paragraph 2, we compare poem A to poem B. And in paragraph 3, we compare poem A to poem B again. Now, why is this question, out of all the questions, so you've got Shakespeare, you've got 19th century text, why is this one the hardest question? To put it simple guys, students struggle when it comes to comparing. This is not a comparison. If I wrote one paragraph on poem A and then I put in the word similarly or the phrase on the other hand, and then I wrote about poem B, that's not a comparison. I've basically written 2 paragraphs and put in the word similarly in between. The way I teach comparative writing, in particular comparing poems, is what? Is through the idea of ping pong. Guys, if you've ever played ping pong, the ball bounces back and forth. And this is exactly what we have to do when we are comparing poems. We have to bounce back and forth. This is if you want a grade 7 or a grade 8 or a grade 9. Now, we don't bounce back and forth so many times, 2. We bounce back and forth 2 times. Now, this will all become clear when I plan the question on the board and then I write out the paragraph. Now, guys, there's a few things I want you all to know. The method that I will be teaching is a grade 7, a grade 8 and grade 9 method. Number 2, the poems that we are comparing are War Photographer and Remains. And these poems can be found in the description box. So please open them up and follow me as I go along. And number 3, the question that we are doing, guys, is compare how inner conflict is presented in War Photographer and Remains. Now, guys, before we begin the video, as always, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. Please make sure you check me out on Instagram and TikTok. Other than that, guys, we are good to go. So on the board behind me, guys, I am now going to plan our first paragraph. Now, number 1, when it comes to comparing poems, you must understand one thing, guys. A comparison can either be a similarity or a difference. Now, for this video, I've already picked out the quotes I plan to use. Now, for Remain, the quote I will use is blink, sleep, and dream. Now, that's my reference. Now, what's my point? My point here, guys, is this. My point is that inner conflict, guys, inner conflict is uncontrollable. That is the point that I will be starting with. Now, in War Photographer, my evidence is his hands did not tremble then, though seem to now. Now, guys, for War Photographer, I will use the exact same point. So here I am also going to say that inner conflict is presented as being uncontrollable. Now, when I explain later, that will all make sense. Now, therefore, what have I got? I am looking at a similarity. So guys, when it comes to my comparison, I am looking at a similarity. So I've got my 2 points. I've got my 2 pieces of evidence. I've got my 2 references. Next step, I must pick out my technique. Now for this one, when it comes to technique, guys, I am going to be talking about a semantic field. Now guys, what is a semantic field? A semantic field is an idea that is grouped together by a series of words. For example, if I said punch, kick, and knockout, you might think of MMA. If I said table, chair, and whiteboard, you might think of a school. Those words create that idea. If I said face mask, 2 meters, and washing your hands, you may think of coronavirus. These 3 words, blink, sleep, and dream, they create the semantic field of peace, relaxation, calmness. That is the feel they create. Now, out of these 3, actually guys, that would then be my effect. But I'm not going to plan my effect at the moment. Now, guys, on this side of the board, we have did not tremble then, though seem to now. Now, if you read the poem, you will know that this is juxtaposition. Why is it juxtaposition? Because this man is talking about when he took a picture of a dead body. You would expect someone's hands to tremble when they're taking a picture of a dead body at that moment in time, not later on. So here, guys, we have 2 contrasting points of view. Now, this is my initial plan. If I was planning a essay, a full essay, I've done my first paragraph. I will then find paragraph 2 and then find paragraph 3. So I know the points I'm going to say. This is not a plan for a paragraph. This is just like a brain dump. This is like a mind dump. I'm just deciding what's my quote, what's my technique, and am I doing a similarity or am I doing a difference? So guys, for those of you at home who are maybe planning along, that's 1 paragraph. Look for paragraph 2 and paragraph 3. Now, let's put all of this into a plan for a paragraph. So let's begin from the top. My point for the poem, guys, let's call it poem A. Now guys, poem A was what? Poem A was war photographer. So we will say that poem A is war photographer. Now what was my point for poem A? My point, guys, was that inner conflict is presented as being uncontrollable. Then I gave my reference. My reference, guys, for war photographer did not tremble then, though seem to now. Now here, guys, I said my technique was juxtaposition. Now, after I've done my point, my reference, and my technique, I then explain the effect of my technique. Now guys, this is just a plan, so I'm just going to do very brief bullet points. The effect, guys, is this. The fact that he's trembling now and wasn't trembling then, it shows how his emotions are all over the place. Now guys, his emotions are all over the place. Then we can argue, guys, the fact that he's trembling now and did not tremble then, something has changed. That can be our second part to our explanation. Now, normally, guys, we continue. Remember what I told you guys before? We are looking to play some ping pong. So guys, we are looking to play some ping pong. So after we've done the point, reference, technique, and explanation, then we're gonna bounce our ball across. Now you should all know what we're going to be doing. We are now going to be talking about poem B. Now to connect these 2 points, we might say similarly. Now this only works because we're going to come back, we're going to bounce it again. Just hold tight for a second. Now we do the exact same thing for poem B. Now poem B, guys, was what? Poem B was the poem Remains. Now because it's a similarity, our 2 points are exactly the same. In poem B, inner conflict is also presented as being uncontrollable. Now, alright guys, you can't see the poem B at the top, but it's fine. For the reference, we will use the 3 words were what, guys? They were blink, blink, sleep, and dream. These were our 3 quotes. Now we said our technique was a semantic field. Now, what is the effect of the semantic field? Guys, the fact that when this guy is blinking, sleeping, dreaming, the fact that he can't get over what he's seen and what he's done, it shows that he has no peace. When he's supposed to be at ease, when he's supposed to be resting, even then he has no peace. Furthermore, guys, let's add a little bit more. Therefore, guys, his inner conflict is never ending. His inner conflict is never ending. So, I've done my point, my reference, my technique, and my explanation on both sides. So I do that first, say the word similarly, and then I come over here. Now, guys, at this point, I'm going to go back. I'm going to say now, we're going to go all the way back to this point here. And I will connect it by saying in addition. In addition. And now we are going to zoom in. Now, why am I saying in addition? Because I'm sticking with the same point, because it's a similarity. But now, guys, I zoom in to this point here. In addition, when we look at the verb, so guys, we go back to this quote over here and we're going to zoom in. Now, what am I going to zoom into, guys? I'm going to zoom in to the verb tremble. Can you all see that clearly? Yes, you can. Then I explain the effect of the verb tremble. Now, what is the effect of the verb tremble? This is me shaking. I'm shaking my hand right now. When you tremble, tremble is an involuntary act, and trembling is normally done as a result of fear. Now, guys, for the sake of the board, I'll just write two things. It shows fear, and the fact that it's involuntary links back to the idea. Guys, it links back to the idea of it being uncontrollable. Done. Now, then I move on. Guys, then I move on and I go back. Remember, guys, I told you we have two bounces. Bounce one, it was that way. Bounce two is now taking place. Then I say furthermore. This is the last part of the paragraph, guys. I say furthermore, and then I zoom in. I do the same thing to this particular part, to this particular poem, sorry. Now I'm going to zoom in again to a verb over here. But this time, out of these three, I'm going to zoom in to the verb blink. Why the verb blink, guys? Because having a nightmare, so having a bad dream is quite common. Not being able to sleep at night is quite common. But the fact that this guy's blinking, just the mere act of blinking is causing him distress, shows how severe his inner conflict is, and shows how it's uncontrollable. Because why? We blink every second, and the fact that this is what's happening to him, it shows his suffering way more than the other two verbs. So guys, very, very quickly, guys, I'm just going to make 1 point for this one. So guys, for my explanation, guys, I'm going to make a note. It emphasizes, guys, it emphasizes his suffering. Now, of course, when I do my paragraph, I'm going to add detail to all of this. But this is just, guys, this is just a plan. Now, how do we end our paragraph? We end it with one simple way. We end our paragraph, guys, with a what? We end our paragraph. Why am I doing a brown and ruining the color scheme, guys? We end our paragraph with the last part, which is what, guys? And this is the link. Guys, this is the link. And in the link, all we do, guys, is we summarize our key points. Therefore, as you can see, in both poems, inner conflict is presented as being uncontrollable. However, for example, in Remains, he suffers way more than in War Photographer. The purpose of the ending is to bring both of the poems together. Now, guys, essentially, if you look on the board and if you look at how it's been planned, you've essentially got two pretzel paragraphs running side by side. But rather than doing one pretzel paragraph and then another pretzel paragraph, we've divided the pretzel in half. You do this part first, then you do similarly, or on the other hand, depending on if it's a similarity or a difference. And then you do the same thing for poem B. Then you say in addition, and then you zoom in and you explain. Then you go furthermore and you zoom in and you explain, and then you summarize it all together. Now, you may be thinking, sir, how are you supposed to do this in 15 minutes? Guys, you can do this in 10. This is not a lot of work. Why? Because your point, your reference, and your technique is a 30-second job. Your reference, you're basically copying out a quote from a page. Your technique, you're picking out what language technique has been used. Now, if you're still struggling to pick out language techniques, that's a separate problem. That's not to do with the paragraph. The only part, guys, of the paragraph that should be taking us time are the 4 E's. These 4 E's is where we should be spending the majority of our time, because this is where 80% of our marks are. Because this is where you get to show off your English skills. So guys, have a look on the board. We have a complete comparative paragraph for a poetry essay. You want to do this 3 times. I repeat, guys, it's essentially 2 pretzel paragraphs running side by side. Now, I am conscious of this video being super long, and I don't want to bore you guys to death. And I don't want to reveal all my secrets. Joke. What I'll do, guys, is this. That was a really dead joke. Guys, what I'll do is this. I am now going to turn this into a paragraph. Now, I won't write in super detail because I'll end up writing maybe 10, maybe 12 minutes. So I'll try to write as concise as I can, but I just want to give you guys an example of how you put this together. So guys, let's now begin writing this out into a paragraph. Hey guys, so we begin with poem A, and poem A was the poem War Photographer. So we begin by saying the following. In War Photographer, inner conflict is presented as being not only in the mind but also in the actions of the photographer. This is our point complete. This is exemplified when the photographer explains how his hands did not tremble then, though seen to now. Alright, this was our reference. The use of juxtaposition, there is our technique, is extremely effective here. Normally, you would expect the hand to shake during the process of taking a picture of a dead body, not after. As a result, this contrast highlights how the photographer, how the emotions of the photographer are all over the place. What he feels now, he did not feel then. Something has changed. Alright guys, that's my reference also, that's my explanation also complete. So I've done my PRTE. Now I move on to my comparison. Now what did I say in my plan? I said that I will move on by connecting these 2 points with the word similarly. This idea of inner conflict being uncontrollable can also be seen in the poem Remains. That's it guys, point is complete. The writer explains how the soldier relives actions in the act of a sleep and a dream. There guys is my reference again. The use of a semantic field as these words are normally linked with peace and calm, not torture and suffering. Therefore, it's clear that there is no end to the suffering caused by inner conflict. Alright guys, that's poem B done. Now let's bounce back. In addition, when we zoom in to the verb tremble in wolf photographer, we realize how there is immense fear being created. To tremble is an involuntary act. In a conflict, as a result, is an involuntary, uncontrollable emotion. Guys, now I zoom in very quickly to poem B and then I end my paragraph. Is echoed also in the verb blink. In remains. To tremble and to blink are both involuntary acts. The suffering in remains appears to be far worse. This is because humans blink all of the time, and therefore the inner conflict has caused the soldier to be in a state of constant suffering, never-ending suffering. And that's our explanation. And end it with a link. Let's link everything back together. As a result, when we look at both poems side by side, it's clear that both present inner conflict as being uncontrollable. However, the suffering is similar, not the same. The soldier in remains is clearly unable to control his inner conflict a lot more than the photographer. Okay guys, so now if we look at the paragraph on the board, you can see that it's taking me a lot less than 15 minutes to do this paragraph, even though I was typing and I was talking as I was putting this paragraph together. If the paragraph, guys, is broken down, you've got PRTE, PRTE, ZE, ZE, and then L. Let's read the paragraph, guys. And I apologize if there's any mistakes because I was typing live. So there may be some mistakes here and there. In wolf photographer, inner conflict is presented as being uncontrollable, not only in the mind, but also in the actions of the photographer. This is exemplified when the photographer explains how his hands did not tremble then, though seem to now. You must embed your quote. The use of juxtaposition is extremely effective here. Guys, it should be here, not her. Normally, you would expect the hands to shake during the process of taking a picture of dead body, not after. As a result, this contrast highlights how the emotions of the photographer are all over the place. What he feels now, he did not feel then. Something has changed. Then I move on, I bounce. This idea of inner conflict being uncontrollable can also be seen in the poem Remains. The writer explains how the soldier, it should be soldier guys, not soldier, relives his actions in the act of a blink, sleep and dream. The use of a semantic field is impactful as these words are normally linked with peace and calm, not torture and suffering. Therefore, it is clear that there is no end to the suffering caused by, it should be the inner conflict. In addition, when we zoom into the verb tremble in wolf photographer, we realize how there is immense fear being created. To tremble is an involuntary act. Inner conflict, as a result, is an involuntary, uncontrollable emotion. I want to link it back to my point. This is echoed, guys, mean this is also seen. This is echoed also in the verb blink in Remains. To tremble and to blink are both involuntary acts. Now I'm bringing my poems together. So guys, I've gone there and I've bounced, then I bounce back and now go again. This is echoed also in the verb blink in Remains. To tremble and to blink are both involuntary acts. However, the suffering in Remains appears to be far worse. This is because humans blink all the time. Therefore, the inner conflict has caused a soldier to be in a state of constant suffering, never-ending suffering. As a result, when we look at both poems side by side, now I'm linking them both together, it is clear that both present inner conflict as being uncontrollable. However, the suffering is similar, not the same. That's a very important point. The soldier in Remains is clearly unable to control inner conflict a lot more than the photographer. So guys, that is how you write a grade 7, 8, 9 paragraph when you are comparing poems. Now, if you look at the paragraph, guys, has it got AO1? AO1 is the quality of your point and the quality of your quote. Yes, it does. Has it got AO2? Have I talked about the effect of either language, structure, form? Yes, I have. Have I got AO3? No, I haven't. AO3 is context. Now, this is one paragraph in a bigger essay. So in paragraph 2, I may talk about structure and form. In paragraph 3, I may talk about context. But guys, remember one thing. This is just a paragraph on how you compare poems. So I thought I'll end this video on a cyclical structure. I thought I'd end where I began, in the exact same spot. Now guys, I hope you found this video beneficial. We looked at how to compare poems, which is a very, very difficult question. It is such a hard question because we're comparing two big pieces of text. However, I pray that you found it easy to the way I've explained it. Now, the way I've explained it, guys, will take some getting used to. It takes some practice because we're not doing your traditional Peter and Peter. We're doing PRTE, PRTE, ZE, ZEL. And you have to do this over and over and over again so you can speed up your timings for an exam. But guys, I guarantee you one thing. If you can master this method, you are guaranteed to get higher marks because it's a tried and tested method. Alright, I've spoken enough in this video, so I'll end this video here. As always, guys, I hope you found benefit in this video as well as all the other content I produce. Take care of yourselves, guys. Take care of your families. It's been Mr. Everything English. Peace.